Part 1. The stars looked different now. Captain Daniel Harper stood on the bridge of the Valiant and watched them through the main window. He had been in space for 15 years, but tonight felt strange. Something was coming. He could feel it in his bones. Lisa Martinez walked up beside him. She was the tactical officer, the person who made sure they stayed safe in dangerous situations. Her dark eyes were focused on the screen in front of her. Numbers and lines moved across it quickly. "Captain, we have something," she said. Her voice was calm, but Daniel heard the worry underneath. He turned to look at the screen. What he saw made his stomach drop. Ships, dozens of them. No, hundreds of them. They were massive, bigger than anything humanity had ever built. They appeared out of nowhere like ghosts becoming solid. "Where did they come from?" Daniel asked. "Near Mars? They just appeared." "I've never seen technology like this," Lisa said. Her fingers moved quickly across her controls. "They're not responding to our signals." The year was 2187. Humans had finally figured out how to travel faster than light. They had built colonies on 3 different star systems. Everything seemed perfect. The galaxy was open, waiting for them to explore it. But now, looking at those enormous ships, Daniel realized they were not alone. And whoever these visitors were, they didn't look friendly. The bridge crew worked quietly around them. Everyone knew something big was happening. The communications officer, a young man named Chris Baker, suddenly stood up. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," he said. "Put it on screen," Daniel ordered. The main window changed. Instead of stars, they now saw a face. It was not human. The creature had smooth gray skin and eyes that glowed with a purple light. Its head was larger than a human's, and it had no nose, just 2 small holes. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English. "People of Earth," the creature said. Its voice was cold and empty. "I am General Vexthor of the Carthene Dominion. We have been watching you. You are young. You are weak. You have 30 of your Earth days to make a choice." Daniel felt his hands tighten into fists. He didn't like where this was going. "You will give us all your colonies. You will destroy all your weapons. You will prepare your people for our rule. We have done this 47 times before. 47 species now serve under us. You will be the 48th. You will kneel before the Carthene Dominion or you will die. There is no third option." The screen went black. The bridge was silent. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then everyone started talking at once. Daniel raised his hand. "Quiet," he said. His voice was firm. "Lisa, what do we know about their fleet?" Lisa looked at her screen again. "They have about 300 ships near Mars. Each one is 5 times bigger than the Valiant. If they wanted to attack right now, we couldn't stop them." "Can we run?" someone asked. "Run where?" Lisa answered. "They have faster ships. They found us. They can find us again." Daniel nodded slowly. "Send everything we have to Earth. The President needs to see this." On Earth, President Helen Crawford sat in her office deep underground. The White House was still there, but for emergencies like this, leaders went to secure bunkers. She watched the alien message 3 times. Each time she felt more angry. Around her sat the most important people in Earth's government. General Paul Bennett commanded all military forces. He was an old man with gray hair and hard eyes. He had fought in the colony wars 10 years ago. He knew how to win fights. "We need to prepare for war," Paul said. "We have 30 days. We can build defenses. We can move ships into position." "And then what?" asked Secretary of State Karen White. She was younger and she believed in talking, not fighting. "We heard what they said. They're bigger than us, stronger than us. If we fight, we lose. If we surrender, we lose everything." Paul shot back. Helen raised her hand. Everyone stopped talking. "What about negotiation?" "We talk to them. We find out what they really want." "They told us what they want," Paul said. "They want us on our knees." Back on the Valiant, Lisa Martinez couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the Carthene ships. Something didn't feel right. She went back to the bridge even though her shift was over. She pulled up all the data they had collected about the alien fleet. The ships were arranged in a specific pattern. A defensive pattern. That was strange. Why would an attacking force use a defensive formation? They had hundreds of ships. They should feel confident. But they didn't look confident. They looked careful. Lisa started going through old military history files. She read about wars on Earth, about how different armies fought. She found something interesting. Sometimes when an army was not sure about their enemy, they acted tough. They made big threats. They hoped the enemy would be scared and give up without a fight. Was that what the Carthians were doing? Were they testing humans? Did they expect humanity to just surrender because they looked scary? She made notes. She wrote down her ideas. By morning, she had a theory. The Carthians might be strong, but they were also careful. Maybe too careful. They conquered other species who gave up easily. But what if humans didn't give up? What if humans showed strength instead of fear? Daniel found her in the morning, still at her station. She looked tired, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "Captain, I think I know what they're doing," she said. She showed him her notes and her ideas. Daniel read everything carefully. Then he looked at her. "This is risky. If you're wrong, we might make things worse." "If I'm right, we might survive," Lisa said. Daniel thought about it. He was a careful man. He didn't like taking big risks. But looking at Lisa's confident face, he made a decision. Get some rest. Then write up a full report. "We're sending this to Earth. Let's see if the president agrees with you." 3 days later, the answer came back. President Helen Crawford had read Lisa's report. She discussed it with her advisors. Some thought it was crazy. Some thought it was brilliant. In the end, Helen made a choice. She chose to be brave instead of scared. The message went out to all human ships and colonies. Earth would not surrender. Earth would not kneel. Instead, they would show the Carthians that humans were different from the other 47 species. Humans would stand up and face them as equals, not as servants. When General Vexthor received Earth's response, she was surprised. In 300 years of conquest, no species had ever said no to her. Not like this. She looked at her officers. "Interesting," she said. "These humans might be more entertaining than I thought." Part 2. The days passed quickly, too quickly. Earth prepared for the meeting with General Vexthor. Nobody knew what would happen. Would they fight? Would they talk? Would the Carthians just destroy them for saying no? Captain Daniel Harper received his orders on day 15. He was to take a small ship, not the Valiant, just a diplomatic vessel with no weapons. He would fly to a neutral zone near Jupiter. There he would meet with the Carthians face to face. "You want me to go unarmed?" Daniel asked during the video call with command. "We want to show them we're serious about talking," General Paul Bennett said from Earth. "But we're not showing weakness." "Who goes with me?" Daniel asked. There was a pause. Then President Helen Crawford spoke. "Commander Martinez requested to go as your chief negotiator." Daniel was shocked. "Lisa? She's military, not diplomatic." "That's exactly why we're sending her," Helen said. "She understands them. She studied their patterns. And honestly, Captain, she's the one who convinced us to stand firm. She deserves to be there." Daniel couldn't argue with that. 3 days later, he and Lisa boarded a small ship called the Messenger. It had space for 10 people. With them came 2 guards, a pilot named Chris Baker, and a medical officer named Kelly Price. That was all. The flight to Jupiter took 2 days. Lisa spent most of that time reviewing everything they knew about Carthian culture. It wasn't much. The Carthians didn't share information freely. But from what little they had learned, one thing was clear. The Carthians respected strength above all else. "Are you nervous?" Daniel asked her on the second day. Lisa looked up from her reading. "Terrified," she said honestly. "But being scared doesn't help anyone. So I'm using the fear, turning it into energy." Daniel smiled. "You're braver than you think." "Or crazier," Lisa said with a small laugh. They arrived at the meeting point right on time. The Carthian ship was already there. It was massive, like a small moon. The Messenger looked like a toy next to it. A docking tube extended from the alien ship and connected to their vessel. "Last chance to turn back," Daniel said quietly. "No turning back," Lisa replied. "Only forward." They walked through the docking tube. It was long and dark. At the end, a door opened. Bright light flooded in. They stepped through. The room was enormous. The ceiling was so high that Lisa couldn't see the top clearly. The floor was made of some kind of black metal that reflected light like water. And at the far end of the room, on a platform that raised them high above everyone else, sat the Carthians. General Vexthor was in the center. She was huge, nearly 8 feet tall. Her body was covered in armor-like plates that looked like they grew from her skin. She had 4 arms, each one thick with muscle. Her face was the same as in the transmission, smooth and gray with glowing purple eyes. Around her stood her officers. Each one was armed. Each one looked deadly. They stared down at the human delegation with expressions that Lisa couldn't read. "Humans," Vexthor's voice boomed through the chamber. "You received our message. You had 30 days. You have used 15. Why are you here?" Daniel stepped forward. He had practiced this speech 100 times. "We're here to discuss terms." "There are no terms," Vexthor said. "There is only surrender or death. Choose." "We choose neither," Daniel said. His voice didn't shake. Lisa was proud of him. Vexthor leaned forward. For the first time, her expression changed. She looked curious. "Explain." Daniel glanced at Lisa. This was the moment they had planned for. Lisa stepped forward. She walked right to the center of the room. Her footsteps echoed in the huge space. "You've conquered 47 species," Lisa said. Her voice was clear and strong. "You're very proud of that. You think it makes you powerful?" "We are powerful," one of the officers said. His voice was angry. "Maybe," Lisa said, "but you haven't conquered us yet. And you're not going to." The room erupted. The Carthian officers shouted. Some reached for weapons, but Vexthor raised one of her 4 hands. Silence fell immediately. "You stand in my ship, human. You have no weapons. You have no army here. You have nothing. And yet you speak with confidence. Why?" Lisa took a deep breath. This was it. Everything depended on the next word she said. "Because confidence doesn't come from size or numbers. It comes from knowing who you are. You demand that we kneel. You expect us to be afraid. You think we'll surrender like the others did. But here's the thing about humans. We don't kneel. Not to anyone. Not ever." She paused. The room was completely silent now. Every eye was on her. "So if you want to see someone kneel," Lisa said, her voice quiet but powerful, "you first." For a long moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. It was like time had stopped. Lisa could hear her own heartbeat. She could feel sweat on her back. Had she gone too far? Had she just started a war? Then something unexpected happened. General Vexthor laughed. It was a strange sound, deep and rough. But it was definitely a laugh. She stood up from her throne. Even standing far away and high above them, she was intimidating. She walked down the steps slowly. Each footstep rang out like thunder. She stopped a few feet from Lisa. Up close, she was even more impressive. Lisa had to tilt her head back to look at her face. "You challenge me," Vexthor said. It wasn't a question. "I challenge your assumptions," Lisa said. "You assume we're weak because we're young. You assume we'll give up because you're bigger. You're wrong on both counts." Vexthor studied her. Those purple eyes seemed to look right through Lisa's skin and see everything inside. Lisa forced herself not to look away, not to show fear. "In my culture," Vexthor said slowly, "when someone challenges a general, there is only one response. Combat. Single combat. To the death." Lisa felt her stomach drop. She hadn't planned for this. Behind her, she heard Daniel take a step forward. "Wait," Daniel started to say, but Vexthor held up a hand. "However," she said, "I am curious about your species. You are different from the others. So I will modify the challenge. Not combat between us, combat between our forces." She turned and walked back to her throne. 5 ships. You choose 5 of your best. We choose 5 of ours. We fight, winner takes all. If you win, we leave. We negotiate as equals. If we win, you surrender. Completely, no more resistance. Lisa's mind raced. 5 ships against 5. That was better odds than 300 against however many ships Earth had. But it was still risky. The Carthians were more advanced. Their weapons were better. Their shields were stronger, but they had one advantage. The Carthians had never lost. They didn't know how to lose. They expected to win, and that expectation could be their weakness. "We accept," Lisa said. Daniel grabbed her arm. "Lisa, we need to discuss this." "No time, Captain," Lisa said quietly. "This is the best chance we're going to get." She turned back to Vexthor. "When?" 7 days, Vexthor said. "That gives you time to choose your champions. The battle will take place in the asteroid belt between your 4th and 5th planets. Sensors only. No outside help. No reinforcements. Just 5 against 5. "Agreed," Lisa said. "Then go," Vexthor said. "Prepare your ships. Prepare your warriors. And when we meet again, I will show you why 47 species chose to kneel." Lisa looked up at the general. "And we'll show you why humans never will." They walked back through the docking tube in silence. Once they were back on the messenger and the tube had disconnected, Daniel turned to Lisa. "Do you realize what you just did?" he asked. "You bet the entire human race on 5 ships." "I bet on human creativity," Lisa said. "I bet on our ability to adapt. And I bet on the fact that the Carthians have never fought someone who refuses to follow their rules." "What if you're wrong?" Daniel asked. Lisa looked out the window at the massive Carthian ship. "Then at least we went down fighting. At least we didn't kneel." The flight back to Earth was quiet. Everyone was thinking about what came next.
A battle, 5 ships?
The fate of humanity resting on one fight. When they arrived, President Helen Crawford was waiting for them. So was General Paul Bennett and every military leader Earth had. Lisa told them everything. She explained the challenge. She explained the terms. 7 days, Paul said. "That's not much time." "It's enough," Lisa said. "We don't need fancy new weapons. We need smart tactics. We need to think differently than they do." Helen looked at her. "You really think we can win?" Lisa nodded. "I know we can. Because we have something they don't have. We have everything to lose. And that makes us dangerous." Part 3, the next 7 days passed in a blur of activity. Every military base on Earth and in the colonies worked non-stop. They had to choose 5 ships, 5 captains, 5 crews, and they had to prepare a battle plan that could defeat an enemy who had never been defeated. General Paul Bennett gathered all the best captains in one room. There were 20 of them, all experienced, all skilled, but they needed the best 5. "This isn't just about firepower," Lisa Martinez told them. She stood at the front of the room with a display showing Carthian battle tactics. The Carthians fight in formations. They use overwhelming force. They expect their enemies to fight back the same way. "So we don't," said a voice from the back. Everyone turned. A young man stood up. He was maybe 30 years old, younger than most captains. His name was Jake Sullivan. He commanded a small frigate called the Defiant. He had earned his rank by fighting pirates near the outer colonies. His tactics were considered reckless by some, brilliant by others. "We don't fight fair," Jake continued. "We use the environment. We use speed. We make them chase us. We frustrate them. We make them angry. Angry people make mistakes." Paul looked at Jake for a long moment. Then he looked at Lisa. "Is this what you had in mind?" Lisa smiled. "Exactly what I had in mind." In the end, they chose 5 captains. Jake Sullivan on the Defiant was one. Captain Daniel Harper on the Valiant was another. They added Commander Kate Morrison on the Ranger, a fast attack ship. Captain Ben Foster commanded the Thunderbolt, which had the best weapon systems. And finally, Captain Nicole Graham on the Sentinel, which had the strongest shields. 5 ships, 5 different strengths, 5 captains who were willing to think differently. Lisa worked with them for 6 days straight. They practiced maneuvers. They studied the asteroid belt. They planned and replanned their strategy. By day 7, they were as ready as they could be. The morning of the battle, Lisa stood on the bridge of the Valiant with Daniel. The 5 human ships were in position near the asteroid belt. In the distance, they could see the 5 Carthian vessels approaching. "They're bigger than I expected," Daniel said quietly. He was right. Each Carthian ship was massive. They moved in perfect formation, like they were connected by invisible strings. Their weapons were visible even from a distance, huge cannons that could probably destroy a human ship with one shot. "Remember the plan?" Lisa said into the communication channel that connected all 5 ships. "Don't let them control the fight. Make them come to us. Use the asteroids. Stay moving, and trust each other." "Understood," Jake's voice came back. He sounded excited, not scared. "Ready when you are, Commander," Kate Morrison said. The others confirmed they were ready too. Lisa took a deep breath. This was it. Everything they had worked for came down to the next few hours. The Carthian ship stopped at the edge of the asteroid belt. A communication came through. It was General Vexthor's voice. "The rules are simple. Disable or destroy all enemy ships. Last fleet standing wins. No outside interference. No running away. This ends today." "Agreed," Daniel said. "Then begin." For a moment, nothing happened. The 2 fleets just stared at each other across empty space. Then the Carthian ship started moving. They came forward in their perfect formation. Weapons charging. "Now," Lisa said quietly. The 5 human ships scattered in 5 different directions. Jake Sullivan pushed the Defiant hard toward the thickest part of the asteroid belt. Rocks the size of buildings floated all around him. His crew worked quickly, dodging and weaving between them. Behind him, 2 Carthene ships followed. "Come on," Jake muttered. "Follow me." That's right. He led them deeper and deeper into the asteroid field. The Carthene ships were bigger, which made them slower. They had to be more careful. Jake used that. He flew between asteroids that were close together. He made sharp turns. He pushed his ship to the limit. The Carthene ships tried to keep up. They fired their weapons, but the asteroids blocked most shots. One blast hit a large rock next to the Defiant. The explosion sent smaller rocks flying. Jake's ship shook but held together. "Almost there," Jake said to his crew. They had planted mines earlier, disguised as regular asteroids. Now Jake just had to lead the enemy ships to the right spot. He saw the markers his crew had left. 3 asteroids in a triangle pattern. That was the kill zone. He flew straight through the middle. The Carthene ships followed. "Now," Jake shouted. His weapons officer triggered the mines. The 3 asteroids exploded. But they didn't explode outward. They exploded inward toward the center of the triangle. Thousands of rocks, moving at incredible speed, converged on the space where the 2 Carthene ships were. The first ship tried to shield itself, but there were too many rocks coming from too many directions. Its shields overloaded. Rocks smashed into its hull. Alarms sounded. The ship went dark and started drifting. The second ship backed away quickly. It was damaged but still functional. Jake didn't chase it. That wasn't the plan. "One down," he reported to the others. Meanwhile, Kate Morrison was having her own fight. Her ship, the Ranger, was the smallest and fastest. A single Carthene vessel had pursued her. She led it on a wild chase through the outer edge of the asteroid field. But she wasn't running away. She was setting up. "Ready?" she asked her crew. "Ready," her pilot confirmed. Kate stopped her ship suddenly. The Carthene ship, not expecting this, almost crashed into her. At the last second, it engaged its tractor beam, the technology they used to grab and hold other ships. The beam locked onto the Ranger. Kate smiled. "Full power to engines, everything we have." Her engineer looked at her like she was crazy. "Commander, if we do that while caught in a tractor beam, we'll overload the whole system." "That's the idea," Kate said. They pushed the engines to maximum power. The ship strained against the tractor beam. Energy built up. More and more. The system started to overheat. Warning lights flashed everywhere. Then, exactly as Kate hoped, the energy had nowhere to go except back through the tractor beam into the Carthene ship. The feedback was massive. The Carthene ship's systems went haywire. Lights flickered. The tractor beam shut down. Kate's ship was free, though barely functional. "Get us out of here," she told her pilot. Her wingman, Captain Ben Foster in the Thunderbolt, had been waiting for this moment. As soon as the Carthene ship's shields went down from the feedback, he struck. His weapons were the best humanity had. He fired everything. The Carthene ship tried to recover, but it was too late. Ben's missiles hit their target perfectly. The ship didn't explode, but it went completely dark. "Dead in space, 2 down," Ben reported. That left 3 Carthene ships. They regrouped quickly and changed tactics. Instead of chasing, they formed a defensive position. They would make the humans come to them. Daniel Harper saw what they were doing. "They're learning," he said to Lisa. "Good," Lisa replied. "Let them think they're smart." "Nicole, you're up." Captain Nicole Graham in the Sentinel moved forward. Her ship had the strongest shields. She could take more hits than any of the others. She flew straight toward the 3 Carthene ships, not dodging, not hiding. They opened fire. Energy blast hit the Sentinel from 3 directions. The shields held, but barely. Nicole kept going. "Shields at 50%, her officer reported. "Keep going," Nicole said calmly. 30%. "Keep going." The Carthene ships increased their fire. They thought they were winning. They thought one more hit would finish the Sentinel. Then Daniel Harper and Jake Sullivan struck from opposite sides. The Carthene ships had been so focused on Nicole that they didn't notice the other 2 ships approaching. From different angles, Daniel's ship, the Valiant, hit one Carthene vessel with a full broadside. Jake's Defiant targeted another one's engines. Both Carthene ships reeled from the surprise attack. One lost power to its weapons. The other started spinning, its stabilizers damaged. That left one Carthene ship fully functional. It was the largest one, probably the command ship. It turned to face all 5 human ships, which had now regrouped. For a moment, everyone paused. The human ships were damaged. The Sentinel's shields were nearly gone. The Ranger's engines were overheating. But they were still fighting. Still together. The Carthian ship sent a message. You fight well. Better than expected. But it ends now. The command ship charged all its weapons. It was preparing for one massive strike that would probably take out at least 2 human ships. Spread out, Daniel ordered. Don't give it an easy target. But Lisa had another idea. Wait, everyone do the opposite. Get closer together. That's crazy, Ben said. We'll be an easy target. Trust me, Lisa said. The 5 human ships moved closer to each other. They formed a tight group. The Carthian ship adjusted its aim. This was going to be easy. One shot could hit multiple targets it fired. At the last second, all 5 human ships jumped. Not far, just a little. Just enough. They used their emergency short-range jump drives, something the Carthians didn't know they had. The massive energy blast hit nothing but empty space. And because the Carthian ship had used all its power for that one big attack, its shields were down for a few seconds while it recharged. 5 human ships appeared behind it. 5 ships all firing at once at an unshielded target. The Carthian command ship never had a chance. It went dark. Systems failing one after another, silence fell over the battlefield. Smoke and debris floated through the asteroid belt. All 5 Carthian ships were disabled. Part 4. The celebrations on Earth lasted for 3 days. People danced in the streets. They hugged strangers. They cried tears of joy and relief. Humanity had faced its greatest test and survived. But Lisa Martinez didn't celebrate. She stood alone in her quarters on the Valiant, looking at star maps and thinking. The battle was over, yes. They had won, yes. But what came next? That was the question that kept her awake at night. The Carthians still had hundreds of ships. They had conquered 47 other species. They had technology far beyond what humans possessed. One battle didn't change the bigger picture. If General Vexthor decided to ignore the agreement and attack with her full fleet, Earth would fall in days. Captain Daniel Harper found her there on the 3rd night after the battle. He knocked on her doorframe. She looked up, surprised. You should be celebrating, Daniel said. I'm thinking, Lisa replied. About what? About what happens when Vexthor realizes she doesn't have to honor the agreement. About what happens when she decides that losing to 5 ships doesn't matter, because she has 300 more. Daniel sat down across from her. You don't think she'll keep her word? Lisa shook her head. I don't know. That's what worries me. We know almost nothing about Carthian culture beyond their military tactics. Do they value honor? Do they keep promises? Or do they just value winning at any cost? Before Daniel could answer, an alert sounded. A message was coming through. From the Carthians, they went to the bridge. The entire crew was there, staring at the communications panel. General Vexthor's face appeared on screen. Lisa studied her expression, trying to read what the alien general was thinking. Commander Martinez, Vexthor said. Her voice was neutral. I wish to meet with you again. Just you, no weapons, no guards, neutral territory. Lisa felt everyone's eyes turn to her. This could be a trap. It probably was a trap. But she had started this. She had challenged the general. She had to see it through. When and where? Lisa asked. There's a space station at your Jupiter waypoint. We built it during the waiting period. Meet me there in 2 days. Come alone. The screen went dark. The bridge erupted in noise. Everyone talked at once. President Helen Crawford called within minutes. Absolutely not, Helen said firmly. You're not going alone to meet an alien general who just lost a battle to you. It's too dangerous. It's also our only chance to establish real communication, Lisa argued. She could have just attacked with her full fleet. She could have ignored the agreement. But she didn't. She's asking to talk. That means something. It means she wants to capture or kill you, General Paul Bennett said. He was on the call, too. You're the one who embarrassed her. You're the one who said she should kneel first. She probably wants revenge. Lisa thought about that. It was possible. Likely even. But something in Vexthor's voice during that brief message seemed different. Not angry. Not vengeful. Just tired. I have to go, Lisa said. If I don't, we lose the chance to turn an enemy into something else. Maybe not a friend, but at least not an active threat. There was a long silence. Then Helen sighed. I can't order you to go, but I also can't stop you if you choose to. It's your decision. Lisa made it. I'm going. 2 days later, Lisa took a shuttle to the new space station. It was small, just a meeting room with life support and basic facilities, built quickly but efficiently, very Carthian in design, all function and no decoration. Her shuttle docked. She stepped out. The station was empty except for her. She walked to the meeting room. The door was open. Inside, sitting at a simple table, was General Vex Thor. The general was alone too. No guards, no weapons visible. She looked up when Lisa entered. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. You came, Vex Thor said. You asked, Lisa replied. Sit. Lisa sat down across from the general. Up close, without the threat of immediate violence, she could see details she had missed before. Vex Thor's armor plates were scarred, old wounds long healed. This was someone who had fought many battles, seen many things. Why am I here? Lisa asked. Vex Thor was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was different from before, softer, more thoughtful. In 300 years of conquest, no species has ever defeated us in direct combat. Not once. We have never lost. Until now, Lisa said. Until now, Vex Thor agreed. Do you know what that means for us? Lisa shook her head. She truly didn't know. It means everything we believed was wrong, Vex Thor said. We thought we conquered because we were superior, because we deserved to rule, because the universe needed us to bring order, but you showed us something different. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Jupiter's massive form filled half the view. You didn't win because you were stronger. You won because you thought differently. You broke our expectations. You refused to follow the rules we had set. Lisa listened carefully. This was important. This was what she had hoped for but hadn't dared to expect. My people have been conquering for so long we forgot how to do anything else. Vex Thor continued. We take resources from the species we rule. We force them to build ships for us. We use their labor, but we create nothing new ourselves. We innovate nothing. We just take and take and take. She turned back to face Lisa. And now we are dying because of it. Dying? Lisa asked, surprised. Not physically, culturally. Our birth rate is falling. Our young people have no purpose beyond conquest. And there are threats in the galaxy that we cannot defeat by force alone. Threats that require creativity, adaptability, things we have lost. Vex Thor sat back down. Tell me honestly, Commander. If I brought my fleet to Earth tomorrow and demanded surrender, what would you do? Lisa didn't hesitate. We would fight. And we would lose. But we would fight. Yes, Vex Thor said. That is what makes you different. The other 47 species surrendered when they saw our strength. They calculated the odds and gave up. But humans don't work that way, do they? We're stubborn, Lisa said with a slight smile. Some people call it stupid. We call it hope. Vex Thor made a sound that might have been a laugh. Hope, an interesting concept. We Carthians gave up hope long ago. We rely only on certainty, on strength, on control. How's that working out? Lisa asked. This time Vex Thor definitely laughed. It was a rough sound but genuine. Not well, clearly, since I am here asking a species I tried to conquer for help. Lisa leaned forward. Help with what? There is a threat, Vex Thor said. Her voice became serious. From the Galactic Core. We call them the Xylith Swarm. They do not negotiate. They do not stop. They simply consume everything, everyone. They have destroyed 12 worlds in the past year. They are moving toward colonized space. And you can't stop them, Lisa guessed. We tried. 3 times. We lost hundreds of ships, thousands of warriors. The swarm adapts to our tactics. They learn from each encounter. And we cannot think of new ways to fight them because we have forgotten how to think creatively. Vex Thor looked directly into Lisa's eyes. But you can. Humans can. You proved that in the asteroid belt. You thought of tactics we never imagined. You used strategies that should not have worked but did. Lisa began to understand. You want an alliance. I want to propose one, yes. Not as conqueror and conquered, as equals. We provide you with advanced technology, defensive platforms, weapons, medical advances that could save millions of lives. In exchange, you provide tactical advice, strategic planning, fresh perspectives on old problems. It was a lot to process. Lisa sat back in her chair. Why should we trust you? You came to our system threatening to destroy us if we didn't surrender. You should not trust me, Vex Thor said bluntly. Trust must be earned. I understand this. That is why I am here alone, vulnerable. I am showing you that I am serious. That I am willing to risk myself for this. What about the 47 other species you conquered? Lisa asked. What happens to them? That is complicated, Vexthor admitted. Our entire society is built on the current system. Changing it will take time. But I believe it must change, starting with how we approach humanity. Lisa thought hard. This was beyond her authority. She couldn't make agreements on behalf of all humanity, but she could start the conversation. She could be the bridge. I need to take this to my leaders, Lisa said. We'll need guarantees. Proof that you're serious, and we'll need to see concrete changes in how you treat the other species. Reasonable, Vexthor said. I expected nothing less. But, Lisa continued, I think this could work. I think humans and Cartheens might be able to help each other. If you're genuine about wanting to change. Vexthor stood up. She raised one of her forearms in what Lisa guessed was a salute. I am genuine. More genuine than I have been about anything in a very long time. You taught me something important, Commander Martinez. What's that? Lisa asked. That saying no takes more courage than saying yes. That standing up takes more strength than kneeling. That humans, despite being young and small, might be the strongest species I have ever encountered. Lisa stood too. She extended her hand. After a moment's hesitation, Vexthor reached out and took it. The first handshake between a human and a Cartheen, a small gesture but a meaningful one. Let's see if we can make this work, Lisa said. Agreed, Vexthor replied. And, Commander? Thank you. For what? For not kneeling. For showing me that there is another way. For giving my people a chance to be something better than conquerors. Lisa smiled. Part 5. The next 3 months were the hardest of Lisa Martinez's life. Convincing Earth's leaders to trust the Cartheens was like trying to push a mountain uphill. Every day brought new arguments, new concerns, new fears. President Helen Crawford was cautiously supportive. She saw the potential benefits. Advanced medical technology that could cure diseases, energy systems that could end power shortages, defensive platforms that could protect Earth from any threat. But she also understood the risks. General Paul Bennett was against it from the start. They tried to conquer us, he said during one heated meeting. Now we're supposed to work with them, share our tactics, trust them with information about our defenses. They're offering us technology we won't have for 100 years, Lisa argued. And they need us. That gives us leverage. Or it gives them access to learn everything about us before they attack again, Paul shot back. The arguments went in circles for weeks. Meanwhile, Lisa continued meeting with General Vexthor. They worked out the basic framework of an alliance. Small steps, trust-building measures, actions, not just promises. The first test came when Vexthor did something no Cartheen general had ever done. She released one of the conquered species from their control, a small civilization called the Nuan, who lived on 3 moons near Cartheen space. Vexthor gave them back their autonomy and offered them a place in the proposed alliance as equals. The news spread across the galaxy quickly. Other conquered species watched carefully. Was this real? Or was it a trick? The Nuan themselves were suspicious at first. But Vexthor kept her word. She pulled back her forces. She returned their government buildings. She let them choose their own path. On Earth, this action changed minds. Not everyone's, but enough. President Helen Crawford called for a vote among Earth's leadership. The decision was close. 53% in favor of beginning alliance negotiations. 47% against. It's enough, Helen told Lisa. We move forward, but carefully. Any sign that they're not keeping their word, we pull back immediately. Lisa agreed. That was fair. That was smart. The alliance treaty took 6 more weeks to write. Lawyers and diplomats from both sides argued over every word. What did equal partnership really mean? Who would command joint operations? How would technology be shared? What happened if one side broke the agreement? Captain Daniel Harper represented Earth's military interests. He worked directly with Cartheen officers, learning their protocols and teaching them human ones. It was awkward at first. Humans and Cartheens were very different. Humans used humor to ease tension. Cartheens found humor confusing. Humans valued individual initiative. Cartheens valued following orders exactly. But slowly they found common ground. Warriors understood warriors regardless of species. Both sides respected courage. Both sides valued protecting the weak. Both sides believed in standing against threats. Jake Sullivan, the young captain who had helped win the battle, became friends with a Carthene officer named Krell. They bonded over tactics and strategies. Krell was amazed by human creativity. Jake was impressed by Carthene discipline. They started running joint training exercises. "Your people are chaotic," Krell told Jake one day, "but effectively chaotic. You turn disorder into advantage." "Your people are precise," Jake replied, "but too precise. Sometimes you need to break the pattern to win." "Perhaps together we are balanced," Krell suggested. "Perhaps," Jake agreed with a smile. While the Alliance talks continued, Lisa spent time learning everything she could about the Xylith swarm, the threat Vexthor had mentioned. What she learned terrified her. The swarm was not like any enemy humanity had faced. It was not even like the Carthenes. The swarm was a collective intelligence made up of billions of small creatures. Each one was not very smart individually, but together they formed a vast mind that could think and plan and adapt. The swarm consumed everything in its path. It broke down matter for resources. It absorbed technology. It learned from every encounter, and it was heading toward the part of the galaxy where humans and Carthenes lived. "How long do we have?" Lisa asked Vexthor during one of their meetings. "Based on their current trajectory, 5 years. Maybe 6. They move slowly, but they never stop. Never rest. Never negotiate. Can they be killed? Individual units can be destroyed, but the swarm replaces them faster than we can kill them. We tried saturation bombing. We tried biological weapons. We tried everything. Nothing works for long. They adapt." Lisa thought about this. The swarm sounded almost impossible to defeat. But humans had faced impossible odds before and found ways to survive. There had to be something. Some weakness. Some approach that hadn't been tried yet. "We need more information," Lisa said. "We need to study them. Understand how they think. How they adapt. Find the pattern." "We have data from our encounters," Vexthor said. "I will share everything with you." The treaty was finally signed on a sunny day in Geneva. Leaders from Earth, from the Carthene Dominion, and from the newly freed Nuan civilization gathered together. Cameras captured the moment when President Helen Crawford and General Vexthor pressed their hands together. Human and Carthene sealing the agreement. The treaty was called the Galactic Cooperative Charter. It outlined rights and responsibilities. It established joint military command structures. It set up technology exchange programs, and most importantly, it committed both sides to defend each other against external threats. Not everyone on Earth was happy. Protests erupted in some cities. People held signs saying they didn't trust the Carthenes, that humanity was making a mistake. Lisa understood their fear. She had felt it too. But she also knew that isolation would kill them just as surely as conquest. The real test came 3 months after the treaty was signed. A Xylith swarm scout force attacked a joint colony on the frontier. The colony was small, only 5,000 people. Half human, half Carthean, living and working together as part of the new alliance. The attack came without warning. Millions of small creatures descended on the colony. They broke through defensive shields like they were paper. They started consuming everything. Buildings, vehicles, crops. They moved like a wave, unstoppable and terrifying. The distress signal reached Lisa on Earth within an hour. She was in a meeting with Daniel Harper and several Carthene officers when the alert came through. Everyone stopped talking. Everyone looked at each other. This was it. The first real test of the alliance. "We need to respond immediately," Lisa said. "Agreed," said General Vexthor, who was attending the meeting remotely. "I am dispatching 3 Carthene battlecruisers. They can be there in 12 hours. Earth is sending 2 destroyers and a medical ship," Daniel added. 16 hours flight time. "That's too long," Lisa said. "The colony will be gone by then." She looked at the tactical display. There was one ship closer. The Defiant, Jake Sullivan's ship. It was on patrol only 3 hours away. But one ship against a swarm attack force was suicide. Lisa opened a direct channel to Jake. His face appeared on screen. He looked tired but alert. "Commander," he said. "I saw the alert. We're the closest ship." "I know," Lisa said. "But Jake, you can't fight the swarm alone. You need to wait for reinforcements." "The colonists don't have time to wait," Jake said firmly. "We're going in. Jake, that's an order. Stand down and wait for support." There was a pause. Then Jake smiled, that reckless smile that made him both brilliant and terrifying as a captain. "Sorry, Commander. Communication problems. I can't hear you. We're going in. The channel went dead. Lisa stared at the screen. Daniel looked at her. He's going to get himself killed, Daniel said quietly. I know, Lisa replied. But he's also going to save as many people as he can. That's what humans do. 3 hours later, the Defiant arrived at the colony. What Jake saw made his blood run cold. The swarm had already consumed half the settlement. Buildings were gone. People were running, trying to reach the evacuation shelters. The swarm followed them, a living carpet of destruction. Target the swarm concentrations, Jake ordered. Everything we have, the Defiant opened fire. Energy weapons cut through the swarm creatures. Missiles exploded in the midst of their formations. For a moment, it seemed to work. The swarm pulled back, but then they adapted. The creatures started spreading out. They stopped clustering together. They made themselves harder to target. And they started climbing. Up the legs of the Defiant, which had landed to evacuate colonists. They're on the hull, his weapons officer reported. They're trying to eat through the armor. Seal all external hatches, Jake ordered. Get as many colonists on board as possible. We're leaving. They managed to get 800 people onto the ship, 800 out of 5,000. The rest were still out there hiding in shelters or running for their lives. Sir, we have to go, his pilot said. If they breach the hull, we all die. Jake looked at the screen showing the colonists still on the ground. He saw families, children, people who had believed in the Alliance, who had moved to the frontier to build something new. No, he said. We're not leaving them. Sir, we can't hold the swarm off. They're adapting to our weapons, Jake thought fast. Adapting to weapons. That was the key. The swarm learned from every attack. They figured out defenses. But what if you didn't give them time to learn? How much power do we have in reserves? He asked his engineer. About 60%. Why? Part 6 months passed since the swarm attack on the frontier colony. The alliance between humans and Cartheens grew stronger each day, though not without difficulties. Cultural misunderstandings happened regularly. Resources had to be shared carefully, and there were still people on both sides who didn't trust the partnership, but progress was real. Cartheen technology helped Earth build better ships, stronger shields, and more efficient energy systems. Human tactical thinking helped the Cartheens reorganize their military into more flexible units. They learned from each other, and slowly, grudgingly, they became something resembling friends. Lisa Martinez was promoted to ambassador. She split her time between Earth and various Cartheen worlds, building relationships and solving problems. It was exhausting work. Some days she missed the simplicity of being just a tactical officer, but she knew this work mattered more than anything she had done before. General Vexthor went through changes too. The other Cartheen generals were not happy about the alliance at first. They saw it as weakness. Some even challenged her authority. But Vexthor was strong and smart. She convinced them by showing results. The alliance made the Cartheens stronger, not weaker. It gave them options beyond simple conquest. 3 more species joined the Galactic Cooperative, species that the Cartheens had previously ruled. They saw what happened with humans and the Nuen. They saw that Vexthor was serious about change. They took the chance and joined as equals. The cooperative now had 6 member species, 6 different perspectives, 6 different ways of thinking. It was messy and complicated, but it was also powerful in ways that the old Cartheen Empire never was. The ceremony celebrating the expanded cooperative was held on a neutral space station. Lisa attended as Earth's representative. She stood with Vexthor on a platform overlooking the gathered delegates. Humans, Cartheens, Nuen, and the 3 newly joined species all mixed together. We've come a long way, Lisa said to Vexthor. Indeed, the general replied. I remember standing in my command chamber looking down at you, expecting you to kneel. Never did I imagine we would be here. What made you change your mind? Lisa asked. Really? Not the political answer. The real one. Vexthor was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than usual. I saw something in your eyes that day. Something I had not seen in 300 years of conquest. You were afraid. I could tell. But you refused to let fear control you. You chose courage over survival. And I realized that my people had lost that ability. We chose survival over everything else. We became small even as our empire grew large. She turned to look at Lisa directly. You reminded me what it means to be truly strong. And I am grateful. Lisa smiled. You're welcome. And thank you for listening, for being willing to change. A young Carthian officer approached them. His name was Krell, the same one who had become friends with Jake Sullivan. Ambassador Martinez, General Vexthor, we have received new intelligence about the swarm. Lisa and Vexthor exchanged glances. They walked quickly to a private briefing room. Inside, several officers from different species were gathered around a tactical display. The news was not good. The swarm has changed direction, Krell explained. They are no longer moving slowly. They have accelerated, and their new trajectory is directly toward this sector. How long do we have? Vexthor asked. 6 months, maybe less. Lisa felt her stomach tighten. 6 months. They needed more time, more preparation. They were not ready for a full swarm assault. How big is the force? She asked. Krell manipulated the display. Numbers appeared. Lisa read them and felt even worse. That's 3 times bigger than any swarm force we've encountered before. Yes, Krell confirmed. This is not a scouting party. This is an invasion force. Vexthor studied the display in silence. Lisa could see her mind working, calculating strategies. Finally, the general spoke. We need to evacuate the frontier colonies. Bring everyone back to more defended positions. Then we concentrate our forces for a defensive stand. That means abandoning everything we built out there, Lisa said. All the progress. All the cooperation. Better to abandon buildings than lose lives, Vexthor replied. We can rebuild. We cannot bring back the dead. Lisa knew she was right, but it still hurt. They had worked so hard to build those colonies, to show that different species could live together. Now they would have to give them up. I'll contact Earth, Lisa said. We'll need every ship we can spare. Over the next weeks, the evacuation proceeded quickly. Millions of people left their homes on the frontier. They moved to more protected worlds deeper in cooperative space. It was orderly thanks to the joint planning between species. Nobody was left behind, but the swarm kept coming. Faster than predicted, they consumed empty colonies. They grew stronger with each world they absorbed, and they showed no sign of stopping. Jake Sullivan was given command of a task force, 5 ships, all from different member species of the cooperative. His mission was to slow down the swarm, buy time for the main defensive line to be established. This is a delay action, Admiral Daniel Harper told him. You're not expected to stop them. Just slow them down. Hit and run. Don't get caught. Understood, Admiral, Jake said. But Jake had other ideas. He had spent months studying the swarm. He knew their patterns. He knew how they thought, or at least how their collective intelligence processed information. And he thought he saw a weakness. He gathered his small fleet. 2 human ships, 1 Carthian cruiser, 1 Nuan science vessel, and 1 ship from the newly joined species called the Voril. 5 ships against an invasion force of thousands. It seemed hopeless. Here's what we're going to do, Jake told his captains during a briefing. The swarm learns from direct confrontation. Every time we shoot at them, they adapt. But they also need to process that information. There's a lag time, maybe a few minutes, while they figure out new defenses. So we keep changing our tactics, said the Carthian captain, whose name was Thex. Exactly, Jake confirmed. We hit them with something new every time. Keep them constantly adapting. Never give them a chance to settle into a defense. That requires perfect coordination, said Commander Lisa Ward from the 2nd human ship. 1 mistake and they'll overwhelm us. Then we don't make mistakes, Jake said simply. They found the swarm approaching a small moon that had mineral deposits. The creatures were predictable in some ways. They always went for resources first. That gave Jake's fleet a chance to set up. The first attack came from the Nuan science vessel. It used a new type of sonic weapon that disrupted swarm communication. The creatures scattered in confusion. While they were disorganized, the Voril ship attacked with chemical weapons that broke down their cellular structure. The swarm adapted quickly. They developed resistance to both attacks. But by then, Jake's human ship struck with conventional weapons from an unexpected angle. The Carthian cruiser provided covering fire, its massive guns keeping the swarm from concentrating their response. For 3 hours, the 5 ships danced around the swarm. Each attack was different. Each tactic was new. The swarm tried to learn, tried to adapt, but they could not keep up with 5 different species working together, each bringing their own unique approach. Finally, the swarm withdrew. They left the moon and changed course, moving around the area where Jake's fleet operated. It was not a defeat, but it was a delay, and every hour of delay gave the cooperative more time to prepare. Jake reported the success to Admiral Harper. The key is diversity, he explained. The swarm expects uniformity. They're used to fighting the Carthines, who use the same tactics over and over, but with multiple species working together, we can keep them guessing. How many more times can you pull this off? Harper asked. As many as needed, Jake replied. We'll find new ways to surprise them each time. And they did. For 6 weeks, Jake's small fleet harassed the swarm. They never fought fair. They never did the expected thing. They used tricks and traps and tactics that made no sense individually, but worked perfectly when combined. Other task forces learned from Jake's success. Soon, dozens of mixed species teams were operating across the frontier, each one using the same principle. Diverse tactics, constant adaptation, never give the enemy time to learn. The swarm's advance slowed. Not by much, but enough. Enough for the main defensive line to be completed. Enough for reinforcements to arrive. Enough for the cooperative to gather its strength. Lisa watched all of this from the command center on Earth. She saw how humans, Carthines, and the other species worked together. She saw them protecting each other, trusting each other, becoming something more than just an alliance of convenience. General Vexthor stood beside her. The Carthine general spent most of her time on Earth now, working directly with human leadership. The two of them had become close friends. Not something Lisa would have predicted a year ago. We might actually survive this, Lisa said. We will survive, Vexthor corrected. Because we stand together. Because we chose cooperation over domination. Because one human, when told to kneel, said 2 simple words that changed everything. Lisa smiled at the memory. It felt like a lifetime ago, though it had only been a year. So much had changed. The universe was still dangerous. The swarm was still coming. There would be more battles, more struggles, more losses, but humanity was not alone anymore. Neither were the Carthines.